Shout out to Synthetic Sports. I've been seeing his videos pop up on my homepage, and his thumbnails are fire as fuck, I ain't gonna lie. Why do NBA rivalries suck? I feel like NBA rivalries is like a dying breed within the sport, bro. That needs to fucking come back, so.
NBA rivalries suck. It's a question I'm sure every NBA fan has asked themselves at some point. Now, there are certainly teams that don't particularly care for each other. The 3 original Northeast teams have never been particularly fond of each other. Sorry, Brooklyn, you don't count. Same goes for the Texas Triangle, the 2 LA teams. But I don't think any of those matchups, except for maybe the Sixers and the Celtics, qualify as a full-on rivalry. Now, this isn't to say the NBA hasn't had rivalries before, because it certainly has. Jordan's Bulls versus the Bad Boy Pistons, LeBron's Cavs versus Golden State, the Bulls versus the Knicks in the 90s, Lakers versus Spurs in the 2000s, Ben Simmons versus the Rim. There's a fair few good ones in there. But all those rivalries I mentioned are specific to their own time. They haven't endured across generations. The Lakers and Celtics rivalry is really the only one. So why can't the NBA build long-standing rivalries?
Now this editing's crazy. I fuck with that, man. I'm gonna be honest, I think this is a side tangent. I think YouTubers are in and of itself a dying breed, man. I'm not gonna lie. I think everyone now is a podcaster, a streamer. You know what I'm saying? Podcaster, a streamer, a TikToker, bro. We need some like homegrown YouTubers, if you get what I'm saying, man.
Let me just say before we start, I'm not really going to be talking about how all the players are buddy-buddy with each other off the court. That doesn't help, but I think there are bigger issues holding back NBA rivalries. But before we get into those issues, if you haven't already, make sure you drop a like on the video and give us a subscribe. We would greatly appreciate it. And if you don't subscribe, your team will trade for Russell Westbrook.
Oh, fuck.
So you better subscribe.
Oh, fuck. That's dick suck, chat. That's dick suck.
The NBA just recently celebrated their 75th season, and while to the average person that seems like a long time, and to this 24-year-old seems like an eternity, in terms of a sports league's lifespan, it's actually not that long. It's actually on the shorter side. Look at professional baseball. The National League was founded in 1876, and the American League was founded in 1901. Similarly, the NFL was founded in 1920, and if we go across the pond, the English Football League was founded in 1888, the Italian Serie A in 1898, La Liga in Spain in 1929, and the French League One in 1930. It's also important to note that many rivalries in European football actually predate these leagues' founding. For example, Barcelona and Real Madrid first met in 1902. Rivalries, above everything else, take time to develop, and simply put, the NBA has just not been around as long as other leagues. But surely 75 years is plenty of time to develop some rivalries, right? That extra 20, 30, 40 years can't make that much of a difference, right? Well, it's not just the age of the league, but the age of the teams too. The NBA had its first season in 1946, and of the 11 teams that participated, only 3 still exist today, and only 2 are still in their original city. The NBA is full of young franchises.
I need to look at these OG teams again, man. I need to look at these OG teams.
Participated, only 3 still exist.
Only 3 exist. Warriors, Celtics, and the Knicks. Damn.
Exist today, and only 2 are still in their original city. The NBA is full of young franchises, and to illustrate this point, of the current 30 NBA teams, only 18 of them have been in the city they currently call home since 1980. Compare that to the NFL, where 22 teams have been in their current cities since 1980. This doesn't count the Rams, by the way, so if you count them having moved back to LA, that brings your total to 23. This trend is even more prevalent in baseball. 25 of the 30 teams have played in their current cities since 1980, with the exceptions being the Rays, Marlins, Nationals, Diamondbacks, and Rockies. It's also important to note that while the NFL and MLB have more teams in their respective cities for longer, those teams are often significantly older than NBA teams as well. The average age of the 18 NBA teams I mentioned earlier is 58 years. The average age of the 22 NFL teams, 71 years. And the 25 baseball teams, 87 years. Rivalries are built up over generations of meetings, and outside of the Northeast teams, very few teams in the NBA have met consistently enough over a long period of time.
Do y'all think that's it though? Do y'all think it's as simple as like, oh, rivalries gotta build over decades at a time? Because I feel like it might just be simpler than that. I don't know. I think the whole like transition from The 60s Celtics-Lakers rivalry to the 80s Celtics-Lakers rivalry was pure coincidence. I'm going to keep it a beat. Same thing from the transition from that to Paul Pierce, KG, and Ray Allen versus Kobe and Gasol. I feel like that was just a, things lining up the way that they did type shit. And it was just a cherry on top. But I feel like a lot of this is just certain players building history, either on the court or off the court, and then those become rivalries when their teams, specifically number one, stay together, and then number two, play each other a lot. And like, you know what I'm saying? Like really big moments, specifically in the playoffs type shit.
But what about the MLS? The MLS is an even younger league than the NBA, being founded in only 1993. In fact, 30% of MLS players are older than the league itself, and yet the MLS has managed to establish several strong rivalries. I'm from Portland, and I can tell you right now, Portlanders hate the Whitecaps, and especially the Sounders, far more than they hate any NBA team. Now, yes, the Timbers-Sounders rivalry does go back further than the MLS. It dates back to the old North American Soccer League in 1975. But there are other more recent ones too. The Atlantic Cup, California Classico, Canadian Classic, all feel much more defined.
Or it could just be simple as historic rivalries though. Cause I'm not gonna lie, Duke versus UNC, it doesn't matter who the fuck is on the team, who the fuck is coaching, it's Duke versus UNC. You know what I'm saying? Even locally, bro, like my high school versus St. John's High School, It doesn't matter what year, it's just it is the rivalry. So I guess I see it too.
Than any NBA rivalry outside of Lakers Celtics. So why can the MLS build rivalries, but the NBA can't? I'll get back to the MLS in just a second, but first I need to establish this point. Basketball is the easiest sport to enjoy casually. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, essentially, you enjoy watching the sport and you enjoy watching a team, but the results don't particularly affect you. In most cases, you're happy when the team wins, sure, but relatively indifferent when they lose. And basketball is the easiest sport to enjoy in this way. In fact, I would argue it is designed to be enjoyed this way. The actual sport of basketball, I would argue, is the simplest. Now, every sport can be dumbed down to be simple. Football is just put ball in end zone, but hand most people an NFL playbook and they'll look at it like it's in a foreign language. Anyone remember that viral Cooper Kupp clip?
Yeah, they had a little 3-deep fire zone, brought the nickel off the edge, safety dropped down. It didn't look like they were doing a replacement fire zone, so I knew at the back away we were going to get three pushing through. I had an opportunity to kind of run in there if I could beat my guy and just had to beat the safety to the end zone.
Okay, I feel like I know a decent amount about football, and I have close to zero clue what he just said. Soccer is the same. On the surface, it's just put ball in net, but the formations and the tactics, and honestly some of the rules, can be difficult for outsiders to grasp. Ever tried explaining offsides to someone who doesn't watch soccer?
No, I'm serious. How's that offside? I don't understand it yet.
Basketball, especially nowadays, most teams run 90% high pick and roll, drive and kick, or isolation. They may have sets that they use, but the majority of them can be listed down to the three concepts I mentioned before. The NBA is also the most star-driven league. Soccer may have an argument here, especially abroad, but in the States, NBA stars are the most popular and they're the highest earners, with 36 of the top 100 highest paid athletes worldwide in 2022 being NBA players.
Damn!
And the stars are popular because they drive results and not just ratings. Man. If you think about it, basketball is the rare team sport in which a single player can carry a team to success. Mike Trout is considered by many to be one of, if not the best baseball player in the world, and he's had this reputation for basically his whole career.
That did surprise me though. When motherfuckers told me Mike Trout and Shohei were on the same team, and then they also said, yeah, they're not a good team, it just did not make sense to me, bro. Just did not make sense to me.
Yet in his decade plus with the Angels, they've only made the playoffs a single time and were swept out of the ALDS by Kansas City. A top 5 player in the NBA missing the playoffs is extremely rare, and missing the playoffs for 5+ seasons in a row is unheard of. Additionally, the NBA has only 450 players compared to the NFL's 1,696 and the MLB's 1,088. And soccer, well, yeah, 450 much easier to stay familiar with. Finally, there's the length of the season, 82 games, which is the perfect amount of games. Your team plays 3 to 5 games per week on average, and most of those games are going to be after 6 p.m. local time, meaning if you're still in school or if you work during the day, you're still able to watch your team. The NBA season also takes place from October to April, when the weather is generally not as good and there's less to do outside. Compared to the other leagues, the NFL season also takes place during the colder months, but if you have obligations on Sunday, you're shit out of luck. If you do have Sundays off and you can watch the games, then there's still only 17 regular season games. And because there's so few of them, it's almost unavoidable that you're gonna be more emotionally invested in each game. On the other hand, you have baseball, which is the polar opposite of the NFL. It takes place during the summer when school is out and the weather is nice, and the MLB season has so many games that it basically forces their fans to dedicate a huge amount of time to keep up with their team. If you only watch half an MLB season, that's a full NBA season. And it's not like baseball games are short. The NBA season sits in this sweet spot. There are enough games that you aren't overly attached to any individual.
The crazy thing about baseball to me, bro, is that number one, there's 162 games per team. And number three, theoretically, like, there is no time limit on every game. I understand innings are a thing, but like, even within the inning, an inning can last however long, bro. So the fact that you're playing 160 something games of technically indefinite time games is so crazy to me, bro. Like, why the fuck would you ever do that?
Regular season game, but there's also not so many that it requires a huge time sink to watch most of them. So, what does this all have to do with the MLS?
Pitch clock
well,
now?
First, I need to establish that basketball plays best to casual fans, because soccer doesn't. If you've ever been to a soccer match of a well-supported club, you know this, because soccer fan culture actively encourages hardcore fandom. This is the case both in the States and especially around the world. If you want examples, in the US, the Timbers Army and Emerald City supporters are 2 good examples, and abroad there are way more, but here's just a few. Boca Juniors, River Plate, St. Pauli, Borussia Dortmund, Liverpool, Millwall, Red Star Belgrade, Lazio, Besiktas, Galatasaray, and many, 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 I cannot stress this many enough, many more. Expect flags, banners, chants, songs, and if you're lucky enough, maybe some smoke bombs and flares. At a regular season NBA game, well, pick the right game and you could probably take a nap in the stadium.
Side note, bro, this is just my content creator brain spinning, bro. Well, I think one of the smartest things Speed has done is specifically attach his brand to not only Ronaldo, but to soccer. I think everyone within the WL community is not touching soccer, or football, excuse me, and all that shit because it's just not familiar. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people in our community is NBA, NFL. You know what I'm saying? But the fact that Speed somehow attached his name to the biggest sport in the world and the biggest athlete in the world, I think was such a fucking game changer for him. It's absolutely insane. It's absolutely insane.
Even if it's sold out. It's very sanitized, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. The NBA very much wants to create a safe environment for fans, and especially children, because the last thing they want is another Malice at the Palace. But there's no denying that it can lead to a bit of a sterile atmosphere for fans. But better fan culture can't be the only reason, right? Regular season baseball games aren't that lively, so what's holding the NBA back? The structure of the NBA doesn't help facilitate rivalries. What do I mean by this? Well, I discussed the length of the season earlier, but the NBA structure and playoffs as a whole don't help either. For some MLB teams and pretty much all NFL teams, their biggest rivals are their divisional rivals. Seahawks, Niners, Bears, Packers, Yankees, Red Sox, Dodgers, Giants, basically the whole NFC East, AFC West, and AFC North. And it makes sense because in the NFL and the MLB, winning your division matters. In the MLB, only 12 teams make the playoffs, and that's a new thing this year because between 2022 and 2012 it was only 10, and from 2011 to 93 it was only 8, and from 93 to 1969 it was only 4, and shoot, before 1969 they said what playoffs and just played the World Series. And even at 12, winning your division is huge because the top 2 division winners get a bye into the divisional series.
That's interesting though, because I've always thought divisions was kind of dumb, especially during the standings. Because I would look at those 2000s teams and you'd see like a 45-win team get the 4th seed because back then, I don't know if y'all know, chat, but the winners of a division immediately get home court advantage within the playoffs, and then within those winners, they just rank them 1 through 4. So that's how it worked back then. But now that rule doesn't exist. And to me, it just logically makes sense. Like 1 through 8 should be the best teams of that conference, record-wise, from 1 through 8. But it's definitely interesting the fact that he's bringing up the fact that, okay, that actually is hurting the ability to create rivalries, which honestly makes sense, though. It makes sense.
The NFL is the same. Only 14 teams make it. Top division winner.
CSB says divisions have no point anymore since they took away the rule where the winner got a top 3 seed. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They made divisions not matter anymore, so...
gets a first round bye, and the other 3 get home field advantage in the wild card games. This makes division games incredibly valuable, and that is how you facilitate rivalries, by making it mean more. The NBA lets 20 teams into the postseason, and divisions are borderline meaningless.
worthless.
You win your division in the NBA, you get a division winner banner. That's
Good job,
it.
buddy.
Actually, in doing my research, I found out you also get a trophy. Yippee. Now, this wasn't always the case. Before 2006-2007, division winners were guaranteed the top seeds in the conference.
Yep.
This changed after 2006, when Dallas and San Antonio had the 2 best records in the Western Conference, but because of the rule, they were the 1st and 4th seeds, meaning they had to play each other in the 2nd round. This was remedied the following year, allowing the best record outside of the division winners to be seeded in the top 4 alongside the division winners based on record. So it's all good. Problem solved, right?
Not exactly.
This is relatively uncommon, but it has cropped up a few times over the years, with the 4th seed division winner having a worse record than the 5th seed, and thus they don't get home court advantage despite being the 4th seed. So why are they even the 4th seed?
But why? Why would you do that? Why would you do any of that?
In short, the NFL and the MLB have fostered division rivalries by making winning your division tied to postseason seeding, making every division game valuable. The NBA has made its divisions close to meaningless in regards to postseason seeding, and thus division rivals aren't a thing in the NBA. But what
Yeah.
about soccer? Again. Well, around the world, soccer leagues function very differently from North American leagues. Almost all soccer leagues don't even have a postseason, and the champion of the league is determined by who has the most points at the conclusion of the season. This might make it seem like rivalries would be hard to develop and maintain, especially if one team is going through a rough patch. But in reality, it's the
Yeah, that's actually the opposite now that I'm thinking about it, because every regular season game would feel like a fucking playoff game at that point. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of... Chat, is the NBA fucking up, bro? I'm really thinking about it right now, bro. Is the NBA fucking up, man? God. I feel like there's... When you look at other sports and how they actually do it, and this is a really educational video for me, because I thought I didn't know about all this shit. Like, are all the problems that the NBA is facing, could it be fixed with, like... again... It's a big ass issue, right? All of these things are big ass issues that the NBA pays people hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, if not millions a year, to even come up with a solution and get the ball rolling. So I honestly don't have the solution in my head right now. But it's interesting though. It's interesting like what the NBA could do to like foster some of these fixes. But
opposite. Because even if your team has no chance to win a championship, you can still prevent your rival from winning one. This happens in college football all the time. 2007 backyard brawl, anyone? Pittsburgh finished that season 5-7 and didn't even go to a bowl game, and yet it's one of the most fondly remembered seasons in Pitt history because they denied their arch rivals a chance at a national championship. The same goes for soccer. Example, Leeds United. They haven't been a Premier League title contender in 2 decades. But their fans would love nothing more than to take points off their rivals Manchester United and to hurt them in the title chase or potentially keep them out of a Champions League qualifying spot. But what about Man United in this scenario? Well, what I said earlier about a bad team denying a good team a championship, the opposite is true as well. For anyone unfamiliar with how international soccer leagues work, finishing near the bottom of the league is far more devastating than in the NFL or the NBA. You have the worst record
because you get sent to a different league, right? In soccer?
in the NFL or
Football,
NBA,
soccer?
you get a high draft pick. You finish with the worst record in soccer, you get relegated to a lower league.
Yeah,
Imagine if the
that's-
worst NBA team last year got sent to the G League. That's the closest comparison I can give for the NBA. And in the Leeds Man United rivalry, Man United would love nothing more than to help kick Leeds out of the Premier League. Even though both teams are at the opposite ends of the table, they both have something to gain from the game. Something like this isn't really possible in the NBA because if your team's bad and you beat a rival, I mean, good for you, but unless it knocks them from the 4th seed to the 5th seed or from the automatic qualifiers to the play-in tournament, it really doesn't mean much. And if you're bad, you probably want your rival to beat you because then you'll get a better shot at a higher draft pick.
Alright, before going into this last section of the video, personally, I think the solutions to more rivalries is honestly pushing more individual drama. I'm not gonna lie. The reason why so many motherfuckers keep up with the NBA, push comes to shove, bro. They like the drama in the NBA. They like the fact that the NBA embraces individualism. So the more you can come up with Dylan Brooks versus LA, the more you can come up with Russell Westbrook versus KD, the more you can come up with Grant Williams versus Jimmy Butler moments, bro. I think rivalries will come back from that front. And there are low-key some rivalries in the league already. Low-key. Dallas versus Phoenix, I think is a good rivalry. I think is a good rivalry. You know what I'm saying? Celtics versus Heat is a good rivalry. Warriors versus Grizzlies is a good rivalry, bro. Those motherfuckers, every time they play with animosity. They play with fucking animosity against each other. So I'm not going to say rivalries aren't dead, but they definitely don't hit the same, man. They definitely don't hit the same. I think there's other factors as well that honestly just, you know, the way, just formatting the NBA in a certain way is not going to be just a fix. You know what I'm saying? I think there's, you know, player empowerment plays a part in this as well. I feel like, you know, people, it's understandable because ultimately everyone is just a part of the same league. So obviously you want, you know, your friend on another team, his success is partially your success type shit. But hey, those stories I heard from the 90s and the 2000s, like, motherfuckers dead ass did not like each other. And there were a lot of teams that felt that way, you know?
So, what are some immediate things we can do to fix this? Well, unfortunately, the most needed fix is time, and well, that isn't immediate. So how about in the short term? Well, the NBA needs to make divisions mean something, anything really. Easiest fix would be to give the 3 division winners home court advantage in the first round. That's at least something. Yes, every once in a while, a team with a better record wouldn't have home court advantage, but that's the way it is in the NFL, and they seem to be doing just fine. But honestly, outside of just waiting and making divisions more valuable, I'm not sure there is a fix. Shortening the season might help, makes games more valuable, and will probably get fans more invested, but it also means less revenue for the players and for the league, so that's out. Create a fan environment more akin to soccer? Probably impossible, because I don't think the NBA wants smoke bombs and flares at their games, and like I said earlier, basketball plays to casual fans, and casual fans aren't exactly the type to bring banners and sing songs and do chants. So will the NBA ever be able to build rivalries on par with soccer, baseball, and football? Soccer, absolutely not. Fans are just way too passionate about their clubs, and I don't ever see NBA fans reaching that level of passion. Baseball and football, however, I think the jury is still out. It will take time, maybe a long time, but if the NBA can stop teams from constantly relocating and put more importance on divisional games in the regular season, then maybe. I do think, however, the NBA has one rivalry in its back pocket, one that they could and should make happen sooner rather than later.
Celtics-Lakers. Celtics-Lakers. They had it last year, Chad. They had it last year. They were so fucking close. But nah, everyone wanted to pretend like they really wanted to see Denver versus Miami. Eat a dick, bruh. You know what you wanted to see. You know what you wanted to see, bruh. Stop playing. Oh, shit. Stop playing, bro. Stop.
One that would have history and hatred behind it from both fan bases. One that I think would transcend Lakers-Celtics as the NBA's best rivalry.
What?
Oklahoma City versus Seattle. Make it happen.
What? Oklahoma City versus Seattle? I need to hear the explanation. I need to hear the explanation.
Adam Silver, make it happen. And that's the video. How do you think the NBA can solve its rivalries problem? Let us know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure...
I mean, I don't know if he was trolling. I don't know if he was trolling. I see it. I see it. I low-key see it. But, like, I don't know. I don't know. I think the NBA, ultimately, I think shortening the season would fix a lot of their problems. I'm not gonna lie. It would fix a lot of their problems if they shorten the season from like 82 to even 50. 50's like radical, but like 66 is a number everyone's been throwing around, bro. I really think the NBA should shorten their season. I think if the NBA shortens their season, the regular season would mean much more. Just off of the fact that every game statistically counts more. Load managing, I don't think would be as big of an issue with the shortened season. And that's really the main thing, bro. My thing that I hate about the NBA right now is I deadass feel like I can miss the first month of the season and be fine. Like that shouldn't be the feeling. That shouldn't be the feeling about the NBA. And maybe not the first month, but like it's kind of like 2K. Obviously, when the season's rolling around, when all the games start happening, it's a big deal. Season opener, this, that, and the third. By the time January and February rolls around, it's like, okay, I can miss this game. Next game rolls around, okay, I can miss this game. I can miss this game. 2K is the same fucking thing, you know what I'm saying? Like release week is a big week, but 2 to 3 months in, it's like, do I need to grind today? Probably not. You know what I'm saying? But with the NFL, that's just not a thing because they have 16 games and every single game fucking matters. It does. It does. So me personally, I would personally lessen the games so that every game matters more. I want to be excited to watch a regular season game instead of just the thing to keep up with. Because at this point, especially because I'm a content creator, bro, like I feel like regular season games are just things I keep up with because I need to keep up with them. You know what I'm saying? It's just something that I put on in the background, you know? I do pay attention, especially closer to the end of the year, I do pay attention more. But for a majority of the season, I'm going to keep it a bean. Like a lot of the games, I just put on in the background. If I pay attention, I'm paying attention to the first quarter. I'm zoning out to the second quarter, most of the third. 6 minutes left in the third, I'm going to start paying attention. And then the rest of the fourth, I'll pay attention type shit. BSOLZ, at what point, if at all, do you think the in-season tournament will affect players' legacies? 0, bro. 0. I'm going to keep it a stack. Like, even the NBA is trying to start that shit with the conference finals MVPs. That shit ain't going to change anything. Because I also think NBA fans have gotten smarter with the fact that they realize, like, yo, I mean, players in the past did not have this award, bro. Like, why are we going to make a big deal out of these new finals MVPs that y'all want to make? You know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't think it makes too much sense at all.